as of 2026, 80% of the world is against me. I'm in the small 20% of people that still buy games physically, that still want a box on a shelf with a cartridge or a disc inside, leaving me distraught when a rumour surfaced recently that Grand Theft Auto 6, arguably the biggest release of the decade, was potentially going to launch digitally with no physical disc option for purchase. But just a few days ago, Strauss Zelnick, the CEO of Take-Two Interactive, addressed this concern at a Take-Two investor call, an event so deafeningly dull that he may as well have just whispered it to his own shadow. When asked about Grand Theft Auto 6 having a digital-only release, he said, "That is not the plan." So, aye, case closed. But I think the important thing here, and the thing that's really stuck with me, is the fact that we all heard this rumour and we said, yeah, I could believe that. The truth was that in space year 2026, this did not feel like an impossibility. Alan Wake 2, a game of the year for many, launched digitally first and then didn't release physically until months later. If you want to play a physical game on your PlayStation 5 Pro, then you first have to buy a disc drive. Sony see it as an accessory. Now, it's up there with the f***ing iToy. It does feel like the industry is determined to kill physical games, murder them in cold blood, but why is that? Well, spoilers. For one, there's no need to worry about Amazon accidentally breaking Street Day and then Kinky Kratos 69 streaming the dramatic twist opening to your video game to his 5 followers. Another reason is that pressing a game to disc requires weeks of preparation. Developers have to commit to a final disc-ready product much earlier than if they're simply uploading the game to online servers. So a digital-only release saves publishers from having to pay for printing factories and physical transport of those units, and gives developers precious extra time to polish their work. But the big, deep down, dirty fact is that companies don't want you sharing. They don't want you lending a game to a friend. They don't want you buying or selling used games, because that is multiple people experiencing their product with only one actual copy sold, and that just can't be allowed. But of course, as with all things, it's not entirely black and white. In March of last year, Sony reported that 80% of all worldwide software sales across the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 were digital. But interestingly, the games business reported last year that 80% of Switch games in Europe were still bought physically, which explains why you get so many of those weird code-in-box Switch games, or even the controversial Switch 2 game keycards. I would argue that it's children driving that market, because you can't really let your child unwrap the concept of a game on Christmas morning. Good news! Santa came down the chimney last night and he's left you absolutely all, but don't worry, you've got a digital copy of the new Pokemon on your Switch. Why are you crying? Why is it? He's always crying. Why is he crying? But digitally, we're at the whims of licensing rights, internet connections. We cannot own this product that we're spending money on. And that makes me nervous, because look, we are bad at preserving games. A major study by the Video Games History Foundation found that roughly 87% of games released in the US before 2010 are critically endangered, meaning they're either very hard or impossible to access today through official means. Does that put Lego Racers 2 in the same category as the Snow Leopard? Well, yes, I think you'll find it does, Mr. Attenborough. So if you could make a documentary about that, please, I might actually watch it. So when the industry has been terrible at preserving its past, even when we physically own those games, why should I trust them when we're heading into a future that is most likely going to be purely digital? What happens when the future that Xbox dreams of happens and we're all streaming our games? What happens when Ubisoft lose the rights to the Rizzler, just as you're in the middle of the Rizzler 2, the Rizzler's Reckoning? What happens when that game has never had a physical release, so no one can rip it from a disc? What happens when there's never been a digital download of that game, so no one can copy it from a hard drive? I don't know. But what I will say is that it makes me very thankful that I have some of my favourite games in a box on my shelf. Games like Mind's Eye and... Oh, wait, no, not Mind's Eye. What? Who put this here? I don't own Mind's Eye. How is this in my hands? I don't even want to touch it. Get away from me. Oh, I've got to go wash my hands now. Oh, that's disgusting. Hey, thank you very much for watching, especially if you got all the way to the end. My name's Nathan, I'm a presenter here on the Future Game Show, and I talk about all the big topics in gaming. If you like this video, I've got a whole playlist where you can check out other stuff. And also, why not subscribe? Because we here at the Future Game Show are all about discovering something new. We want you to find your next favourite game thanks to us. So hit subscribe, go watch some other videos, and remember to brush your teeth. I think it's 20 seconds on each quadrant. So just keep that in mind.